It's just the time of year it is. It's put up or shut up time, and we didn't get the job done today. We accept responsibility for that and the ramifications of it. It's just unfortunate.
Hi everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to the Steelers Roundtable. There is still a slight chance the Steelers can make the playoffs. We are going to break down all of those scenarios for you, but we do have to talk about the loss to the Jets yesterday. So let me introduce you to today's panel. Tunch Ilkin, the former Steelers offensive lineman, is here. A lot to talk about on the offensive side of the ball. Mike Prisuta of the DVE Morning Show, our friend on Steelers.com as well, is here. And our defensive representative of the day, outside linebacker, former Steeler Arthur Moats, is here. So as I said, there's still a chance, even though it might not feel like it, because the Steelers were able to get in the playoffs if they handled their own business. Unfortunately, that has not taken place. So let's take a look. Here is what has to happen for the Steelers to make the playoffs. Some of these are quite simple. Some get a little convoluted, so let's go through them, guys. The Titans lose or tie and the Steelers win. Okay, that one I think we all can wrap our head around. Got it.
All right.
The Titans lose and the Steelers tie the Ravens.
Why don't you just combine those two and make it Titans lose or tie and Steelers win or tie?
Well, you know what? We didn't ask you to make the graphic today.
Because they both can't tie. That's why you did it that way.
All right. I'm trying to make it easy for everybody.
No, that's actually correct.
So you're saying there's a chance.
We're saying there's a chance, but it gets a little crazy. Stick with me here. All right, the Titans lose and the Steelers lose, but then the Colts win, and then the Raiders lose or tie. So now we're really reaching for other games, okay?
Right.
Follow that, though.
The crazy one, though. The Titans lose, the Steelers lose, the Colts win, the Raiders win, and then the Bears, the Lions, the Chargers, and the Patriots would all have to lose. Now, for that last scenario,
that could happen.
If the Bears, Lions, Chargers, or Patriots, if one of those teams wins, guess who makes the playoffs?
Titans?
The Raiders.
Oh, man.
The Raiders went into yesterday with 10 different things that had to happen for them to make the playoffs. 5 of them happened.
Well, and we went into yesterday with
I
a bunch
know.
of things that had to happen. They all happened, and we didn't hold up our end of the bargain.
Yeah, the monkey in the wrench here is Titans lose.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how much Houston has to play for. I know there's still seeding to be determined, and if Houston wanted to ensure that it could play the 6th seed, which would be Pittsburgh, you're looking at having Houston play to win against Tennessee and hope that Kansas City loses. You guys both played, I didn't. I've always thought the motivation could be gleaned from a bye or not, from getting in or not, from home field or not. I don't know if seed's all that big of a carrot to hang in front of the Texans.
You know what? If you have an off week, that's good. But one of the things that in my career in the playoffs, I'd like the wild card game, because you didn't have a time of idle, and idle time. I don't like it. I want to play.
I think most people would take the bye.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they feel bad. What would you think?
Well, this is the thing. So we've been a part of the beneficiaries of not having the bye. We go on the road to Kansas City in 2015 and beat them, and they were a little less than ready because of that bye. Then we've been the victims of it the following year, where the Jaguars come in and they're amped up, ready to go, and we're kind of warming up to it, so to speak. So a lot of times you do want the bye in theory because you have the higher seed, you're playing against the lesser of the opponents, but it is some negativity that's associated with it. But going back to what you were saying, Prisuta, in terms of the seeding, once you
does Houston care about beating Tennessee?
And that's the thing. Like, I don't think
Houston
it's
does.
that big of a deal for them, because they're still going to be playing that first week. It's different, like you said, if you're talking 1 or 2 seed, that's different. But when you're getting down to who's going to be a 3 versus a 4, you're playing that first week regardless.
So you're sitting guys early, if not entirely,
and you're going to be at home on top of that. It's not. It doesn't change that much.
If I've got the bye week, I'm not sitting guys the last game.
No, but Houston's not going to get it.
Because two games, 2 weeks of idle time is too much.
But Houston isn't getting it. So
well.
That's the.
Well, I was
Tennessee
talking about
has to
Baltimore.
lose. I was talking about Baltimore. Yeah, I think they. Well, you think they'll still play their guys?
I don't know, but I wouldn't. I would
there
start.
is no
justification
for playing Lamar Jackson.
And when we talk about sitting guys, this is the thing too. the rosters won't allow you to sit all 22 starters.
Right,
Let's be
right.
real about it.
Yeah.
You might sit 5 to 7 guys max, but other than that, you're still going to have those same the majority
have
of
to play
that roster
football.
out there, right?
But if you're John Harbaugh, how can you possibly allow Lamar Jackson throws a pass and hits his hand on somebody's helmet? There's no explaining that. You can't say, well, I didn't want him to be rusty.
You guys are so
that is
afraid.
criminal negligence if he gets a key guy hurt in a meaningless game.
This is football. It is a tough game. You got to be a tough guy to play. And if guys get hurt, and so I wouldn't. You know what? If I was John Harbaugh, I'd start Lamar Jackson, play him a half, let him be.
I don't even
sharp.
let him in the stadium.
All right, well, the good thing is for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have to play everybody and anybody that is willing and healthy. So we have that. Just quickly, because of all the games we are talking about, the time change, in case if you missed it, the Steelers are now facing the Ravens in Baltimore at 4:25. And, you know, the league kind of did it where, the Kansas City game, which has more to do with Houston, they face the Chargers at 1 o'clock. And then the 4 o'clock slate in the AFC, Steelers at Baltimore, Titans at Texans, Colts at Jacksonville. So, and also the Raiders at the Broncos. So all those games that matter to the Steelers will be happening at the same time.
You know what that means? It's going to get really annoying in the press box because everybody's going to have their Titans just scored. Raiders got a first down. I'm going to be getting play-by-play in 9 games unsolicited. And there's not a thing I can do about it.
I'd rather have played at 1 o'clock and then watched the 4:25 game.
Well, the NFL disagreed. So, all right, we need to talk about the Steelers offense. Obviously, some quarterback changes. Yesterday, ESPN is reporting Mason Rudolph won't be able to go in Baltimore, so Devlin Hodges will be getting the start. Paxton Lynch will be the backup. So let's talk about yesterday, though, guys, and where things, in your opinion, went really wrong.
Well, the injury to Mason Rudolph went really wrong. You know, when Duck threw those 2 picks, I was pulling for Mason to come back out there. When Mason started pretty hot in the touchdown pass at the end of the first half, and everyone was calling for a field goal, and he threw it up top. That was a beautiful catch. We just drew it up on Chalk Talk. But what I thought was that he got hot, and then in the third quarter, he was playing 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And the confidence that gave to Mason, I was fired up about that. I thought he was going to get it, and then BJ steps on his foot, and then the avalanche comes on him, and he's all banged up.
Yeah, man, I was definitely impressed with Mason in terms of how he's handled the adversity that he's had to overcome this season. This is the first time in his college, high school career where he's ever had to face this type of adversity, but to see him respond the way he did was very promising. But I think the thing that we're talking about in terms of what went wrong is 22 straight games now with the turnover. Those are the things that you cannot have. And when we talk about the margin of error, how tight it is now because they don't have the same level of talent due to injuries, you can't keep turning the ball over offensively, and especially in the red zone.
Yeah.
Those are all good points, but for me, what's going to stick out is the last minute. And Devlin Hodges, I thought he deserved to get benched, and then they had to put him back in. And when they did, he threw a pass that I think James Washington should have caught for a touchdown. And James Washington, I interviewed him right on the field a minute after the game was over for the Steelers Radio Network. He said, I had my hands on it. I kind of let the team down. And then 10 minutes later, we talked to Juju Smith-Schuster in the locker room, and he is distraught because he didn't come down with the 4th down ball. He said, and I quote, I catch it, I go in the end zone, we win, it's on me, it's my fault. And everything that happened in that game, they were still a play away from winning it, and they just didn't make the catches on the receiving end. Should he catch that? I mean, is that what a number 1 receiver does?
Yeah, but James Washington, Marcus May was in his face, and he stripped it out. James Washington.
He did, but he had 2 hands on it.
But the ball
Okay,
came
but the
out
guy's
dead.
falling back. I mean, do you think Anquan Bolden catches it? Do you think Larry Fitzgerald catches it?
Well, those are Hall of Famers.
Well, you needed to be great. You needed to be great one time.
He's got
Combat catch. That's what we've been talking about for 2 years, right?
I know.
And hey, let me add,
But he's made a lot of catches.
I respect both of those guys for being accountable, for being honest. They faced the music. They didn't duck and hide as they could have. I really admire that. But I agree with them both. They both thought they should have made a play at the end of the game. And sometimes it takes a guy doing something spectacular to win it at the end. And they had 2 shots at it, and they didn't get it.
All right, I'm sure we're going to talk about much more about the Steelers offense throughout the week. I will leave you with a fun fact you might not like. Barring a crazy game against the Ravens, the Steelers will have gone through this entire season, the first time since 1971, without scoring 30 points in at least one game. So,
Boy, is that fun.
Wow.
yeah, sorry, I'm being a Debbie
Why do you want to bring all this negativity up today, Missy? Come on now.
Even in 1985, when we were 5-11, we scored 35 points a bunch of times.
All right, we
Where's
are going
the
to take a
happiness?
quick break. When we return, we're going to talk about the Steelers defense, and later in the show, open our time capsules.
Oh, good.
It just goes back to being one play away again, as you can see, like it happened this afternoon. So yeah, it was tough, but still got to be a team player and be supportive and do whatever to help the team to win.
Team game, so everybody has to produce. And I think that's the beautiful thing about football is it takes all three, offense, defense, and special teams to win football games. So we got to get back in the lab as a team, and we're never going to separate. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. We love everybody in the locker room. We believe in everybody in the locker room. It's just a matter of putting together a complete game.
All right, that is TJ Watt after the loss yesterday to the Jets. We do need to talk about the defense, guys, and I do want to start with that opening drive and maybe how that just gave Sam Darnold and that Jets offense the motivation they needed to really get off to a fast start. Arthur, we'll start with you on this.
Yeah, they definitely got off to a slow start. And when we talk about the margin of error, right, we talk about this team not being able to score multiple touchdowns in the game. You pointed out that they haven't scored 30 points in the game. So you can't spot teams' points early on. Right. You knew this Jets offense coming in. They were highly inconsistent, which is typical with young quarterbacks. We talked about how they had some receivers that could do some things in Robbie Anderson and Jamison Crowder, but ultimately, if you get them early, they weren't going to be able to produce like that. And to see them come out on that opening drive and march on the field for a touchdown was very unsavory. But the beauty of this defense is they responded after that. And that's one of the things that you've seen countless times this year with this defense, regardless of the situation, regardless of how positive or negative it's been early on, they always respond.
You know, Arthur, the one of the things that opening drive, there were all quick throws, screens, bubble screens, check downs. And then when they got to the 23,
then they took the shot.
they ran the skinny post, and Robbie Anderson was bracketed by Joe Hayden on the outside and Terrell Edmonds on the inside.
Yep.
But that was a great throw.
It definitely
Sam
was.
Darnold. You know, he wasn't seeing ghosts on that play.
Unfortunately,
he made a great throw. And one of the things that shocked me was I thought because only Calvin Beachum was the only starter on that offensive line. You had Alex Lewis, the backup of a Simile. You had Jonathan Harrison, the backup of Ryan Khalil. And then you had Connor McDermott, who was the backup of Compton, who was the backup of Winters. Winters, yeah. And then the third, Brandon Shell, the third right tackle. I thought we would dominate more. I was really expecting that, and I was surprised that we didn't.
Yeah, I was right there with you on that. You know, we do. We have to pick the game on the pregame show. You pick a winner, and I honestly last week went back and forth because I think I understand the state of the Steelers and the Jets. I think are they're better than their 5-9 record going into the game indicated. They had been hot of late, but it ultimately came down when I heard Compton was out. I thought, all right, the Steelers' front seven is going to crush this offensive line, and New York's going to get nothing done. In terms of how the entire defense did, it's unfair, but they are in a position where they've got to do all the heavy lifting. And when you look at what they accomplished, they were very good at times, but they gave up that opening drive. Right. Darnold played a game. I like Sam Darnold potentially. I think he's got a lot going for him, but it's hard for him to play a game and not throw an interception. And the Steelers figured out a way to make that happen. Who is Trevon Wesco, and how does he go 32 yards uncovered?
Because he doesn't have it. He had one catch.
Right.
Nobody was
It's a tie game in the second half, and you blow a coverage. I don't think the defense can walk out of there saying, well, we did our part. The offense just let us down. I mean, the defense didn't do enough, and the defenders, again, will be on this accountability kick. The Steelers are tremendous at accountability. Hayward and Dupree and Watt. And all, nobody's pointing fingers and saying, it's not our fault. but the problem is they are having to be gracious in defeat too often and not magnanimous in victory often enough.
So, Mike, Connor McDermott never played guard before in his whole career. He's a 6'8" tackle. And I was watching him in pregame warm-up because I knew it was going to start. And this guy had no bend. I've said, oh, man, Javon's going to run him over every time. And, Connor McDermott played better than I thought he was going to.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. But the thing that's still funny to me is this weird. I mean, the expectation for this defense in the regard that we're holding them in this year, the fact they still had a team under 17 points and did not win. When we played defense in this league, that was the benchmark. You hold a team under 17 points, you're chalking that up as victories. And this is the season where that's not the standard anymore. It has to be higher than that because of everything that's transpired around them.
You know, Mike Tomlin was asked a couple of weeks ago to compare the current defense to some of the great defenses that he's been around. It was a Tuesday. And his response really resonated with me. He said, those defenses did it in the playoffs. So we're not even going to talk about that right now because this group's got to do it in the playoffs. And yesterday to me was a, playoff 2.0. The Buffalo game the same way. The Ravens game is going to be the same way. 17 is a great number and a hard number to hold people to. But, man, they need to pitch a shutout. They need to come up with a 3-point game, a 7-point game, because that is the state of this team right now. They're not going to get a whole lot more than 10, 13, 16, 17. So they got to find a way to keep people to fewer points than that. Is it a lot to ask? Absolutely. But, again, if you want to be great, this is the play you got to make. This is the game you have to have. And they're close, but they're not there.
The 76 Steelers.
Good example.
How many shutouts?
Good example.
Six shutouts that season, and they fell short of the Super Bowl because Franco and Rocky both got hurt. And
you know the Chuck Noll quotes of all time. Didn't he used to say, "You don't do your fair share." You do what you're capable of doing.
Right. Yeah, and it's not equally distributed. Sometimes the offense has to take over the game. Sometimes it's the special teams. Sometimes it's the defense. And so that's the way the game is played.
All right, we're going to take another quick break. When we return, as promised, we will open our time capsules to see how our predictions were for the Jets game. We'll be right back.
Still have a chance. We may all make it harder on ourselves, but we just got to continue to fight. We don't control our destiny, but we got to come to play. We got to give ourselves a chance. So we'll see what happens.
All right, it is slowly but surely becoming our least favorite portion of the Steelers Roundtable, opening up our time capsules once again for those who are not familiar. These are the predictions, the statements, the whatever you'd like to call it, we submit prior to the game. So
the answer is don't bring.
Yeah, here we go.
Johnny Carson.
All right, Moats, 90 will have 3 sacks.
Whoa. Some of the things that we talked about, right?
No,
the injuries across the offensive line.
No 3 sacks by number 90.
I was saying he would get the 3 because that would tie it, and then he would break it in this Ravens game in terms of the sack record. But
he did get
he got a sack.
Strip.
He got the trifecta. Yes.
Yeah, but that's not 3 sacks.
But he got the hat trick on the one play.
That's what I meant. In fact, I think it was a miscommunication.
Producer's fault?
Yes, I
Sorry,
blame
Gerard.
the producer.
Moats is blaming you.
Going to give him that.
Yeah, I was saying he was going to have a
call,
hat
baby.
trick. You know what I mean?
You guys are really bending the rules. All right, we're going to quickly go through these. All right, mine was that the Steelers' offense will be balanced.
It was.
It was.
Very balanced.
Yeah,
it was
but they weren't very good.
Well,
Hectic.
It didn't say all that. It just
Good
said
job.
balanced.
Going to give you that
I
one.
thought it was kind of safe. I was hoping it was going to be safe.
This is going to be the best segment of the year right here, man.
Yeah,
We're 2 for 2. We're 2 for 2.
All right, Prisuta, 19's return will open things up for 13 and 18.
Hey, the point was I didn't expect 19 to dominate coming back from injury. He clearly did not. 18 had a touchdown in single coverage. 13 should have had a touchdown in single coverage. Now, that wasn't because of Juju. It was because the defensive coordinator loves to blitz at the wrong time all the time.
Yeah,
but I'm going to give myself that one.
Hey, man, it's all about how you spin it, baby. I'm with you, man.
All right,
We're
Tunch,
3 for
let's
3
see if
right
we
now.
can
Let's
spin
go.
yours.
3 for 3.
Bell will have under
Pressure's
50
on.
yards.
Yeah.
I can't help you on this one.
Under 50?
I thought
Under 50 yards after contact.
Russian.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moats is here to
Under
help.
50 yards
Happy
after
holidays.
contact. Now we're good.
You know what? I really thought with the offensive line that the Jets were playing, and the way I saw them play on tape, I thought our guys were going to bottle up Le'Veon, and I thought Bilal Powell would have had more of the yardage, because Bilal Powell is more. He's got that burst. He's explosive. He's physical. You know, the things that. How about when he's high stepping there? That was.
I'm with you. We saw that. We didn't talk before the game, but we saw the same thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And particularly coming off 130 yards rushing allowed against Buffalo, and the struggles of that Jets line. And we had seen that movie before, right? The Bengals game, the Miami game, the Chargers game. Am I leaving any out where it looked like a huge mismatch?
Right.
Opponent's offensive line against Steelers' defensive line, and it just went like that.
Right.
And that didn't happen for whatever reason.
Yeah.
All right, let's end with a little bit of news. Ian Rappaport of NFL Network is saying that Mason Rudolph will be out for multiple weeks, so even if the Steelers get into the playoffs, he will not be available.
Right.
Interesting.
That's
too bad, because
he needed help getting his uniform off yesterday. I know
yeah.
that.
Well, you know, we used to say the needle is your friend.
All right. Well, we would like to wish everybody a happy holidays. Thanks for joining us today on the Steelers Roundtable, and we will see you tomorrow at noon for Coach Tomlin's press conference. Have a great night, everybody.